Hey guys, welcome back to Dmac Kustoms on YouTube. Dave here, garage, Area 51, dusty bomb truck. Sound deadening is today's pick for what we're doing on the old Area 51 project. So got some stuff, hopefully it all works out good. It's going to be a mix of Dynamite and a mix of cheaper stuff off the interweb. So yeah, let's get into it. Dusty Area 51 too, by the way. So what I want to do is I'm going to do some sound deadening up under the roof, sort of up there, not on that light, but yeah, up there, and try and take some of the drumming out of the roof. It's not, it's just that normal roofness, and I'll be doing some stuff on the floors. I'm not sure about the doors and that yet. They may come later. And maybe some stuff in the boot and the parcel tray. I'll see how much material I've got. There's a couple of things I have to make allowances for. I have to make allowances for seatbelt doubler plates, so we'll get into that and sort of show you what that's about as we get in there. And we have to refer to this. That's our hobby car manual. It's kind of got some of the rules and regulations about what we can do modifying a vehicle in New Zealand. That is the 2010, so that's a 15-year-old version of it. But this part that I'll be doing today, I don't think it's changed. I will double check that, but I'm pretty sure there's no changes to the seatbelt anchoring locations. So yeah, I'll get my stuff out and we'll have a look. Okay, so as you see, got some Dynamite, a couple of sort of no-name boxes there. Dynamite is what I had left over from doing the firewall on the floor of the bomb truck, and we've got a couple of full sheets left in here, I think, which we'll kind of use more up on the footwells on the old Area 51. And I bought this online. Just locally on Trade Me, but it's just obviously, you know what I'm saying. Now once it arrived, it has this kind of white sticky stuff. Now it sticks reasonably well to things, but it looks suspiciously like the sound deadening stuff I put into the Area 50, the bomb truck ages and ages ago, the stuff that went all gooey and soft and melted with the heat and things like that. So I changed my mind on using that anywhere where there's heat involved, and yeah, so that won't be going on the roof, and it won't be going up around the toe boards and firewall and stuff like that, because you get a bit of sun on the roof, it might just kind of come unstuck and fall down on top of the headliner and shit like that. So I went back online, back on Trade Me, which is kind of like eBay, but it's a New Zealand version, and I got some Shogun. Now this, and it came with a roller too, so that's cool. And this is, if I can get it, find the end of it, hang on a sec. Okay, so got you mounted on the fender of the old bomb truck. So this is more like your Dynamite sort of style. So it's a butole with a foil back, and yeah, it's much stickier and much heavier. Yeah, here's a piece of Dynamite for the quality of the construction of the Dynamite is probably higher, hence the price. You look at the that's a bit crinkly looking and shit like that, but I think once it's rolled down, it should be all good, hopefully, as long as it stays stuck. And yeah, so that's actually quite a big roll, and it's, there's quite a bit there. I can't remember how much it was, how much money it was, or how big the roll is. I'll check my purchasing history. Okay, so that's it there. It was $89.50, and I think it was free shipping too, strangely enough, and that's 8 meters by half a meter, so it's half meter wide by 8 meters long, and 2.2 millimeters thick, and should cover 4 square meters. So that was pretty reasonable price. The equivalent that box there, I think that was about $400 for that Dynamac. And Dynamac is a proven kind of product. I just feel it's a little spendy, but it does work, and it is a good product. It's just a little bit on the pricey side, and it's not. There's all these different versions of it, there's Dynalite, Dynamac, Dynextreme, all this kind of stuff. But I think when I bought that kit, it was on special at one of the local, parts house shops and that. I don't know, they don't normally carry it, whether they got it in for someone and they never picked it up, I don't know, but it was sitting on the shelf one day and I was in there buying some engine oil or something, and I was like, all over that. And so I bought that and put it in the truck, and it's largely been okay. It's holding up. I don't know whether it was kind of really kept the heat down that comes through the firewall on that thing that much. It's still rowdier in the cab than it is outside the cab on the truck, so it is what it is. But anyway, we're gonna get into this. Now, there's a couple of things I've probably got to do first, and one is I've got to do something with this hole. Just make some kind of like cover or boot, just to kind of keep road dust and stuff like that from coming up under the console. The console is going to cover this, and there will be a boot onto the shifter down to the console, but I just want to make something that kind of knocks down a bit of the stuff from coming in, just road dust. If you're on a gravel road or something like that, you don't want to kind of have the inside of the console just filling up. So I've got this thingamy-bob here that in previous videos you've seen me kind of cannibalizing it for material to use on other stuff. I can't remember what now, but I've made gaskets and stuff out of it, and this is one of the pieces that normally would go in the front fender to the door cover type of thing. For some reason I had 2 sets, 2 different material, so it should be fairly hardy for weather. Not going to get a huge amount of heat up through there, so I maybe could do a little kind of heat test on it and see what it does with a heat gun or a lighter or something on it. But yeah, I was thinking of just making a wee cover that kind of comes up over here, and then we'll just sort of screw it down around there, just to kind of keep some of the dust and crap like that down in there. Know what I'm saying? Yeah, probably not, but I'm just not quite sure how exactly it's going to work. So I might start with cutting a piece of this off and having a little play around and see what we can come up with. A couple of rough cuts and a bit of testing, and Okay, so just cut a piece of that off. I've got a lighter. I'm just going to see how easy it catches fire, if it catches fire. Suppose it could, but I mean, it's rubber. Yeah, you can smell it now. But yeah, it's definitely got plenty of heat resistance, so I'll be happy with that. I mean, that's direct flame for a few seconds, and all it did was put soot on it and made it warm and smell a bit like a burnout. But it didn't catch super easy, so it would take quite a bit of heat, I think, before that would really go up. So, with that being said, my science complete. That's how you discover stuff, you do science on it, and it's very simplistic science, and it didn't want to catch fire real easy, so I think we'll be good. So I'm going to snag this. This is the bigger part, like that, and then I might just get into the center of it. I'm going to cut a slit in the center initially, just to snap my pencil. Just I can slide it over the shifter and kind of bring it down and just see what it does. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do this and how it's going to work. Alright, go back to the car now. I'm going to try initially just to slide this down over the top and see what happens and how it's going to sit. So I'll go over the top of there, bring it down there. I was thinking of just, you know, fitting it somehow like that. I'm not 100% sure yet, but maybe I'll open that up a little bit. How's it going to work? Yeah, maybe I'll open up that just a scotch, just so it sits rounder on there, I guess. And yeah, then we'll go from there. I think I'll just cut a little bit of a radius out of it, not the full kind of radius, but just a wee bit, just with the old shears here. Let's see what happens. Yeah, so that sort of sits over like that. It's not a full, you know, enclosure as such, but it's just, like I said, it's just going to kind of keep some of it down, and that should still, you know, be plenty to stutter and can't speak a sentence, you know, to encounter, you know, it should still work for the movement is what I'm trying to say, and very badly. So what can I do around my switches? Work out where I can trim it now. Didn't really think of this through when I was designing all this switch thing, but it's alright. Pretty much just going to be something like that. Not going to be super pretty, but it'll work, I think. How to clamp it down, next question, I guess. Probably just some T screws or something, some washers. It doesn't need to be, you know, like it's not going to be completely sealed, so it should be alright. Put some marks on it so I can start, you know, kind of tidying up my arrangement here. Okay, alright, I'm going to take this over to the bench and square it up, trim it up, and see what happens. Roll those in, square that up, come through there, something like that, and I want to round the corners with that. Like that. Okay, so it's kind of getting there, but of course now I'm fouled up with where I brought that cable through there, so I need to relieve that. That should be about right. So just got to trim that out and then see how it fits. Okay, so just gonna eyeball this and something like that. Oh, curves aren't that nice, but it doesn't really matter. Nah, that'll do. Alright. Okay, well, it should be alright. Back over the top. Okay, so will this work? I'm going to pucker up there. Go there. There.
Then we end up with that there. The other side won't be so bad because it's already kind of puckering to get around that switch. Oh no, we might be alright. It might lay down because of that. It might not just be that square is the only problem. Oh, might just have to start screwing it on and see what happens. Just had a thought too, I probably shouldn't have put that slit in it. I probably just should have cut a hole and then undid that and sat it down over the top. Too late for that now. Oh, unless I make another one. I'll see if I've got enough out of the leftovers. See if I can remake this, but with just a hole in it. Alright, so I actually have got enough to redo this. So I might have to make a slightly bigger hole because I'm not going to have that slit opening up. So I'm just going to quickly trace around it. And then if we just do a hole sort of so big, like that. Not a very good circle, but you know what I'm saying? I'm actually going to use that little bit extra there just to make it just a scotch bigger. Trace around the socket, try and make it a little bit of a nicer circle. Yeah, that's better. I might cut to the inside of that. I'll remove the lock-arm shifter. It's not a flex in any in any way. It's just, it is what it is. I have since seen other shifters. Oh, why is that not coming out? Hang on. That look very similar, but they're considerably cheaper than the lock-arm ones. There we go. So, shifter out, grease on the hand, that's good. Oh, upside down, that's bad. So that will go about there. So, tick screws. Okay, one down. Now, how's that rest of it gonna sit? If I put one in there, one in there, one there in the corner. Do the other corner. That's not what you want to do. I just punched a hole through my little rubber boot, so. Is this how the day's gonna go, is it? Like, I thought I was off to a good start, and then I kept slipping off those stupid self-drilling tick screws, and I've punched 2 holes through here and 1 through here. It'll be okay, but not what I wanted to happen. So I now have a drill, and I'm gonna pilot drill all of these self-drilling tick screws. So yeah, that's where we're at. Of course it's a bit awkward, there's a steering wheel in the way, and I wonder if I should be over this side of the car. Yes. Oh shit. There we go. Oh, there's a shifter. Excuse me, Mr. Shifter. Do you know the piano's on my foot? Alright. Lum it, I'll play it, son. So I'm gonna go about there. And this one. I thought it was going to go off for me again. Right, so if I go like that, I'm going to have a bunch up over here, but that's okay because we've got a harness coming out of there. So if I go one more up here in that vicinity, and then do we want to pull that tight like that? Probably should, eh? Because if I put it there, we're going to get that pucker there. Now, just got to do something up the top here. I'll do a little double up there. Okay, so that's that dust cover done. I've got a little bit of a pucker there and probably a little bit of a gap there, but it's kind of more just to minimize, you know, road grime and dust coming in. It's not going to eliminate it completely. It's my cop out. One thing about this shifter though is I've never been able to get it to feel just quite right with the adjustment. So it's in park at the moment, and then that should be reverse, and then neutral. Neutral feels like it could drop back into reverse and into drive like super easy. And then we got, like, you know, third, second, down into first, and then there's extra which had me real confused when I was setting this up. So we should be like in first there, and then second, third, drive, and then button in for neutral. Neutral feels like sketchy, like it, if you had it in neutral it could jump into gear at any moment. So that should be reversed there, and then park. So yeah, neutral, just the button doesn't click back up and lock it. I wonder if that's, oh, that unscrews there. I wonder if that's something to do with where that push rod kind of is engaging there, because now it's in drive, not neutral. So there's neutral. You can see the button's not popping up like it does in drive. And that should be reversed, and the button's fully up and the shifter is locked, but you can run it straight into park from reverse. But there's neutral there. It just, I wonder if I have a little play with it before I go too much further. But I don't know. Couldn't really get it to behave any different. Could be adjustment down underneath on the kind of linkage side of things. But yeah, this, you know, it moves nicely in that little hole. So that's that little task done. I do see my relays have fallen off the firewall again, so my 3M super duper double-sided tape is not really that super duper double-siding that well. which is a pain. So the only way to kind of mount those relays up properly is to kind of drill a hole through the firewall, which means I'll have a fastener of some sort sticking through from the other side, and it's like stink. Not quite sure what I'm going to do there. I was thinking maybe just like a little 4mm riv nut, riv zerk, whatever you want to call them. I call them a riv nut for future reference, which will put us, you know, to get those relays up high and out of the way, up there somewhere, like so people don't kick them with the toe board thing. You know, it's going to end up drilling a hole into the firewall. So if we look up under there, so if we, well now it wants to stick, so if we ended up there, drill a hole up through there, I'll have a look and see where that lands on the outside, probably right into a harness of some sort. So if I drilled a riv nut through into here, it's probably going to come through around about there, almost about as visible as it could be. If it was lower, it would be more ideal. But then my relays end up lower. Well, now it wants to stick. Typical. Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. So that didn't really want to stay there, but would that be too low, too vulnerable? I also want it to be accessible. So, I mean, if we went there, I need to be able to, because I did have them stuck on there, didn't I? I think they were about there. But if I went about there and drilled low, we might be alright. That way we won't really see anything, but to change a relay I might need to undo that and pull, you know, if I wanted to pull that relay out because of that. I have to have another little think about this. Okay, so decided I'm going to delay that decision, because if I put stuff on that area there and there, it's going to be harder to stick any sort of sound deadening on there, so I want to stick some sound deadening on there before I mount those anyway. So I'll probably kind of go about there, but yeah, like I say, I wonder if I should, I have to make that, I have to make that decision. I need to drill a hole, and then I can just sound deaden. Yeah, okay, you win. I'll drill a hole. It's got to be done. Like, it's not going to stick. Well, it might stick to the Dynamac better than the floor. It's stressful, man, making these decisions all by yourself. Right, I bought a little screw over. I'll take this tape off now, hopefully. Just like that. Okay, it's not tight. It needs a washer on it, but I just want to have a look from the other side. Yeah, if you can see down there, that's my coming out the other side. Not ideal, but not the end of the world, you know. I would have liked to have kept as much of that sort of stuff to a minimum if I had built this car the way you're supposed to build a car, which is you basically do everything fully wired, running, driving, all that kind of stuff. Then you blow it apart and paint it, and you know, that way you can, you know, maybe weld mounting studs and things like that, like I've done in a couple of places, like on the heater assembly and shit like that. You know, you kind of preempt certain things, but it's this little stuff that, you know, I should have just done one big relay panel somewhere with all my relays, but knowing what I know now, I'd do that. But doing it, you know, this way, like working out where your relays have all got to go and what needs relays and what doesn't, and what should and what you didn't actually do. You know what I'm saying? You just make shit up as you go along, and that's what we're doing. And so that's as good a place as any to mount those relays. You know, sitting in a seat, you won't be seeing them. Carpet will come up over them, but I'm going to take that back off now so I can put my sound deadening, my Dynamac up in that area. Okay, so after last week's video, my little waterproofing episode, I forgot a couple of areas because I couldn't get into them with my Schutz gun, and that was up in there. You can see all that sticky stuff there. That is actually like an actual fish oil thing. So fortunately during the week the smell was dissipated, but some of it just continued to leak out, and that is a puddle of it there, and that's it there, and it's sticky. So it's kind of gross. But yeah, anyway, why I'm under here is I've got to unbolt my seat. Oh, wrong way. Wait. Oh. Now where is the other box gone? I'm trying not to lay in this fish oil stuff. No, that's a body mount. There's one. And there should be one somewhere else. Where the hell is it? Oh, it might be there. Yeah, it's undone. Okay, there it is. I should have folded the seat forward. If you fold it forward, it doesn't fall over when you're trying to take it in and out and stuff, and I just neglected to remember that. So I'll get that out, put that stuff away, and then we're going to have a bit of a clean of the old seat foam that's all crumbling from under those seats. This I still haven't charged it since I bought it. I haven't used it heaps, especially lately. I thought it might have, you know, kind of gone a bit flat on me with it sitting and whatnot, but yeah, still got 2 out of the 3 green lights, so good spend. Do is do. One thing I do is I unplug it from the tool when I'm not in use. Something I figured out with all that DeWalt stuff over there is if you leave the batteries in them, when they're not in use, it does kind of like drain them, whereas if you've got your batteries charged sitting on the shelf, they stay mostly charged, I think. Whereas, you know, I found if I left batteries attached to drills and that for weeks or months without using them, they sort of have some kind of parasitic loss, and then you go to use them and they are dead flat and you have to jump start them. But that's a whole nother little thing. Okay, it's probably a spooky look because I've got the light down on the ground. But yeah, just been in a bit of a wax and grease remover on the ceiling and on the parcel tray and back here, because I'm going to start at the top and work my way down. So as for how much coverage, you know, how solid of a coverage, there's 2 schools of thought. Some folk cover everything, just completely swamp it. For heat, I would say yeah, that's probably a good way to go, so I'll probably do that more down the front if I can. But for just sound deadening, taking a bit of the drumming and that out of a vehicle, the other school of thought is you just need to do strips or patches or whatever, which is kind of what I'm thinking to a point of doing on the roof, rather than kind of taking it all the way down in and, you know, all the way everywhere. Is kind of trying to take some of that out of it. So I might start and do a full strip across the back here and just see what it does, and then maybe do another one across the front. I'm just thinking about economy of how much material I've got as well, because I mean 8 meters by half a meter, 4 square meters. I don't know, we've probably got about 2 square meters just in the roof, maybe a little more. Yeah, so I'll get me measuring stuff out and I'll measure off a piece and I'll have a crack at sticking it up on there, eh? Can only but try.
I do a piece about there to there, maybe 1.3 meters, you know, maybe go out that wide by 500 brings me out to about here. There'll be like one piece, and then I'll maybe do a couple of smaller pieces on either side. Now to see how that lands us, you know. 1.3 did I say? Of course the curve's gonna be, yeah, we'll figure it out. Okay, so got 1.3 meters of this stuff. It's surprisingly heavy and awkward to maneuver. Maybe should be doing this in smaller pieces, but yeah, well, I'll try this one piece and hopefully not destroy it, but let's go. Let's see if I can maybe I should be doing it in 2 parts, because this is going to be really awkward to an angle up there. Cut this in half. Out there. Let's try this again. This is really awkward. Someone built a transmission tunnel thing and it's going to hurt my buttock. Half time change sides. Some significant change, even over here where I haven't got any yet. Just having it there has soaked up a lot of the real echoey-ness. It feels like David Attenborough or something, but it's, it is. This has definitely made a big difference. I'm gonna have a look from the outside, or listen from the outside. Okay, remember a little while ago I was tapping on the roof and it was real echoey. I'll splice it back in. Now listen to this. Oosh. Still got a bit of it there, but if I put a piece in up the front there, man, it's going to make a significant difference up there too. So I'm kind of wondering whether I've wasted material by putting a full strip in there, whether I should just run another 500 wide piece there, maybe fill that up a little bit more, and that'll probably do the ceiling. Like, does it need full coverage, or am I just being a cheap prick? Highly likely. Even down on the C-pillars here, they weren't particularly drummy anyway, but you know what I'm saying? Okay, well, what I'll do, yeah, I'll definitely do something up through the middle here. I don't know whether I'll do full, you know, fill it out completely, but I'll put some up there. I wonder if I should fill it out. It might just make it, might be good for like heat in the summer. or trap the heat in the car in the summer. I don't know. Maybe I'll fill those bits. Yeah, to hell with it. We'll do the whole roof. We should have enough. It's only 80 something dollars. I can then, if I need more to do the rest of the car, I'll buy more, because so far it seems to be sticking pretty good. Can peel it back there, but I might give it a real good roll down again and then do the next bit. Okay, so got that bit on there. Oosh. I'm gonna put a strip in through there as well. Like, I'm not worried about it being, you know, super neat in my joins and stuff like that in this situation. It's just taking that out of it. It's pretty, you have to be pretty methodical with rubbing it down, because I keep finding bits that I've missed. There was a join in it right there. That was a join in the roll, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Give it a good extra bit of attention. Yeah. Okay, so put a couple of pieces down on the C-pillars and got those bits finished up there. As you can see, like, my joins aren't like super like anything, but the difference being still a little bit more rattle there, but compared to how it was, that's a massive increase in kind of like denseness. So hopefully it all stays stuck up there and doesn't just like fall down overnight, because you know, stranger things have happened. I don't know whether it sticks better to a coarser surface or a rough or a smooth surface. I imagine a smooth surface would be, you know, the best. But anyway, so we're about, I don't know, we've got a bit of that roll left, so I'm going to set about doing a piece for the parcel tray there. We'll put some pieces on the aluminium panel, like a separate piece, and then a separate pieces around the rest of it, just to, you know, so that panel can be removed, because we need it to be removable, like if I want to be able to get into the back of the compressors and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying. So next up, cut a piece for up there. I'm not sure, I haven't got a, I've got to make a parcel tray of some sort, because my seat back comes up higher than the parcel tray, so I'm gonna have to make up something to lay in there, or I think there's some extra headliner fabric, which is maybe what that's for. Yeah, could use that, or if there's enough leather left over, could use that, but you know, little clue there. Anyway, yeah, so I'll get measuring and cut a piece for in that parcel tray. I've got to clear my tack strip, so I want to go 1223 by say 380 max. Yeah, I dropped you fellas down in there just by sheer chance. Okay. We want that to sit about up there. There's a pen.
So we want to go roughly to the inside line, I reckon. Where's my line gone? Alright, there it is. Alright, that'll get us started. Okay, so there. Oh, sorry fellas, I've just got to trim a bit more off there. Fold her in half. Oh, what? Bloody Timu. Look at the state of that. Okay, so got another pen. My Sharpie knockoff pen fell apart, strangely enough. Alright, so just got to cut that. Parcel tray done. Screwed up at the top there a little bit, but doesn't matter. Okay, so that's the rear kind of firewall sound deadened. It's a bit patchwork, obviously, because like I said before, I want to be able to take that panel off and kind of getting up into those things. There were some parts I kind of didn't really think it needed anything. There's no real drumming. Sound could travel through it, I guess. I mean, there's a couple of air gaps still up the top, but it doesn't matter. So I've done down to what I consider the floor, so that kick up at the back of the floor. With this stuff, I have to check to see how much I've got left. I'm wondering whether to start with the Dmac product and start from the front and start working my way back and see how far I get with that. And yeah, and then I can sort of see whether, you know, I get any Dmac on this part of the floor, or whether I use this stuff, you know, Shogun stuff. It's like ninja stuff, man. It's like, you know, cool. It sticks super good to this Hammerlite paint. Probably better than it does the ceiling. I probably should have maybe painted the ceiling, but it's just a epoxy etch primer that's on the ceiling and some seam sealer up there, the roof ceiling. You know what I'm saying? Not really. I don't know what I'm saying either. But yeah, so that's that. I wonder, I should sort of maybe fire the compressors up and see what that sounds like. Mind you, I've got the boot lid up and stuff. But yeah, it definitely sounds different in here. It's in my own head, but that could just be because I've been sitting in here talking to myself and things like that many times. But yeah, I guess I'll head up the front now and maybe sort of run some of the Dmac, lay some of that out and see how much of I can get with that. Ideally, I'd like to get the toe boards and at least these footwells done with it. Maybe a bit under the seat. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, but I'm getting hungry. I think it's lunchtime. Alright, so just remembering, I've got a couple of holes in here that I need to put some grommets in. So I've just got to see if I can find, hopefully I've got some little grommets that'll close those up before I put any, oh yeah, perfect. Before I put any sound deadening over the top. Wondering whether I need to leave them clear. They fit just 100%. They couldn't have fit any better actually. Beauty. The hobby car manual. For those of you who aren't from New Zealand, I'll explain a little bit about it. Now, over here we have this kind of governing body called the Low Volume, what's it called again? Low Volume Vehicle Technical Association Incorporated. See? Now, and that was set up, I can't remember, 20, 30 years ago to kind of combat the government overreach and kind of shutting down modified vehicles, hot rods and stuff like that. Kind of a knee-jerk reaction because of the boy racer scene, guys in rices and that, just creating all sorts of havoc in every city in New Zealand with dangerously modified vehicles. Now, proper hot rodders were generally a bit better, not always, but generally, and so the government were kind of making steps to kind of ban modifying vehicles at all. And so the Hot Rod Association kind of got together and formed this organization to put like a kind of a certification process in place. There was already another kind of declaration kind of process that was done by mechanics and mechanical engineers and shit like that, whereas this ended up being a bit more involved. And so you have to, if you're building a car like this and you're doing body modifications, engine swaps, brake upgrades, all that kind of stuff, you have to get it inspected and then certified. And over the years they've come up with this book, and I got this book when I was doing the truck, and you had to be a member of a NZRHA affiliated hot rod club to be able to kind of get the book. And excuse me, and so yeah, that's kind of why I ended up in a hot rod club. But now you can actually just email them and they'll email you a PDF of this thing. I had to buy this, and I can't remember how much it was back then. You know, we're talking 8-9 years ago. I bought the book, and I think it was about $120 or something like that. And oh no, actually you could get it if you weren't a member of a club, I think, but you just paid more for it. It might have been how it worked. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But now you just email them and say, hey, can you send me a copy of the hobby car technical manual thing? And they'll send you a PDF, whereas I do actually kind of like having the hard copy because you can pull it out and reference it easily. With the PDF, you kind of got to, you know, go looking on your computer, and you can't have it kicking around in the garage while you're welding and grinding and shit like that, unless you start printing out pages and pages of stuff, which you don't really want to do. Well, I don't. But anyway, the reason they changed from the hard copy book to the PDF version is because they're constantly revising it. So you can be halfway through a building it to one spec, and then they've done a revision which can change the what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do before you've even finished doing it, you know. So, and it happens, and you have to, you know, basically redo stuff and change shit that you've started. And they recommend that you get a certifier on board before you start a project, any kind of project, and kind of quiz them on things, and kind of, you know, tell them what your plan is, and they'll kind of guide you as to what is expected and whatnot. And you use this. A lot of them just say, look at the book, but the book has got so many grey areas in it when it comes to custom stuff. You know, a lot of good information, good standardized stuff, but then there's certain things with, you know, body modifications and chassis modifications as to how you do it can be different from vehicle to vehicle. So there's no kind of real hard and fast set kind of guideline. It comes down to the certifier on the day, and then he might go, yep, that's all good, and then he takes photos and videos or whatever and sends it all off to the head office, and then they go, yeah, nah, it's not that, we want it done this way. And so you got to rip it all out and do it again. But that's, yeah, basically how it works, and it's a bit of a hit and miss kind of situation. But in here is information about where to mount your doubler plates for your seat belts and anchor points and shit like that, to do it, you know, as safely as they think should be done. So I'll dig into that and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here we have seatbelt requirements, and it goes through all sorts of stuff like types of seatbelts, approved standards, and it gives all the you know, manufacturing standards and markings and stuff that are acceptable here. Condition requirements, so if you've got an old vehicle and you're trying to use old seatbelts, they might knock you back. Type of webbings and type of the way it's kind of constructed. Scratch built vehicles and old vehicles, and adding seatbelts to vehicles that didn't previously have them. Full harnesses, retractor positioning requirements, interior trim requirements. So, and then it kind of goes through all sorts of stuff about anchorages and anchorage positions and stuff like that. So it's sort of you know, you use these kind of formulas of where your seat sits, and then get this H point, which is your obviously your kind of hip point or something like that, and then from there, you know, it tells you where your upper anchors can be and then where your lower anchors can be in relation to that hip point, if that makes sense. So from this, like I need to figure out where I can put my doubler plates. Like these are doubler plates that are in for the seats, and so I'm going to have to put some probably down here for one side of the seat belt, and we've already done the top one, hopefully that's all right, and we'll probably have to have another one on the opposite side down here, and there'll be one in here for the retractor, I think. You know what I'm saying? And there's different specifications for the seat belts, the doubler plates. I'm not sure if it's in here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, there's fastener grades, all that kind of stuff, but these are the doubler plates dimensions. So you can have 100, yeah, 80 by 50 or 100 by 30. There's the imperial measurements next to it. You know, 4 by 1 1/4, 4 by 1 3/4, 100 by 40. That's weird. I would have thought those two there, I thought it would have been a different thing, because they have to have a minimum square millimeters, something like that. So that actually looks like it should be different. It should be maybe 120 by 40. Interesting. Well, I might have to check that. And then they have to be, you know, anchored with different types of fasteners. They have to use a nickel monel rivet, a monel rivet. So that's some kind of like special metal, nickel alloy thing. Or, you know, certain grade, you can nut and bolt them, and I think you can plug weld them as well. I'm not too sure on that. I've never done them like that. I've always used the rivets. And yeah, so, you know, tells you how you can mount them and what you can do with them and all that kind of stuff. But for now, I just need to know where I need to put them. So I'm going to do some reading and see if I can figure that out. Okay, so yeah, we've got this. Okay, we've got, you know, a positioning point for our lower anchors on either side of the buckets. This is kind of where we have to work out a couple of things. So the distance from the H point to the floor, that distance there is distance A, and so we've got 17% of A and 100% of A. So that's your absolute minimum is 17% of whatever that measurement is, and then 100% is whatever that measurement is. So I think, but I'll figure that out in a minute. But this part here we can get started on. So from the center line of the seat, which is this line I've just ruled down here, or just eyeballed, our minimum is 175 millimeters, maximum is 250 millimeters. So if we're looking at, you know, I've measured between my anchors, and that's that mark there. So 175 is pretty much in line with the end of my anchors, so it's down there, and so that's our minimum placement. So in here, or in here, maximum, I've got to figure out that confusing. I've got to figure out that other measurement, which I have to figure out by working out this. So 70mm from the seat and 128 from the backrest gives me my H point, and then I have to measure from the H point to the floor. So basically the floor to the seat plus 70 will give me my figure A. Here's my seat that I prepared earlier. It's a bit hard to kind of measure because my seat's kind of a bit caved in, so if we went, imagine it's got new upholstery, so we add about 30mm to that, and so from there, so we're going to go, I'm just kind of roughing it in at this point, so we're probably looking about 210 from the where it attaches to the floor to there. Oh, plus that 70, yeah. Hang on, yeah. I'll say 220, roughly. Yeah, roughly 220. So that'll just get me in the ballpark. But at the moment, I'm not going to putting them in. I'm just wanting to leave space for them. So this is my H line here. So our maximum is about there. That's full 100%. So that's not quite right, that one. So we literally need to be maybe about there, mounting them on that face. So that's, that would be 100% of A, and 17% of A would be probably about there. So if we're looking at about there, we can get those on a nice flat surface. So I'm just going to eyeball it so I can just leave space in my sound deadening when I put that on. So that's where my lower seatbelt anchors are going to go, and there'll be one on the bottom of the B pillar as well. Yeah, it's confusing, but that should be right, should be good. They just end up a bit set back a bit, so I mean that's roughly where your butt's sitting, about there, and your seat's overhanging, seatbelt comes round, to there, and diagonally from up here, anchor point. I think that's right. Is it? Yeah, should be right. We'll revisit this when I come to put seatbelts in. And of course it's not that straightforward, because under here I thought, oh, where's the chassis rail sit? And it sits right there, of course. Not only that, but there's a whole nother underfloor brace right there, legit. So I can come further out, I think. Where can it come to? Yeah, it's all sticky with fish oil. Yeah, so problem. I have to, I'm going to get a torch. Okay, so I went and did a little bit more of an accurate measurement to get my H point and my A figure, which is more like 240 millimeters. So my H point is this line here, so that's my center point for that H point there, and so which is about 50mm back from my anchor, and then centering as we talked about before, and then coming out the 175 and 250, so it's 175 250, so that's those two lines there, and then 17% of 240 starts there and 240 is there, so that's my A measurement. So somewhere in that rectangle I need to, at my knees, fit basically two plates this size. Now this is just a bit of blank plate, it's not a doubler plate as such. So yeah. And unfortunately my chassis rail runs right through there. Yeah. So somewhere I have to get my anchor point. So this doesn't have to be encased in there. I just need to have my anchor point. So I could be right there, but problem with that is we have that pain in the ass swage. So it's not impossible to, you know, shape your doubler plates to fit things like that, but it's just I was hoping to get them on a nice flat piece of sheet metal, you know, like somewhere like that. But yeah, chassis rail right there, and then there's that hole. I'm trying to show you all that kind of stuff up directly above it, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. So we're going to be looking at about there, I think. I'll mark out the other side and see where they land and make sure there's no bracing and stuff going to be in the way. Like if we go, where's my, yeah, we should be alright on that side, I think, on the inside. I don't want to climb under there because there's, even this torch has got sticky from that fish oil. I need to get the car out of here and sweep some dust over it, take the sticky out of it. Yeah, so that's where my anchor points have got to be, which is a bit of a pain. 175 and 250. Yeah. So I'll just measure out this side and see what it does. Okay, so here we are. This is my area here. From this, it's hard to see because the light's shining on it, but from there down to there roughly is my area that I can put my inner anchors. Obviously I've put double plates on there, and of course, yeah, it's not flat. You know what I'm saying? I could put the different size ones on there, put like the, you know, 30 by 120s or something, but I don't know. I kind of want to keep the seatbelt anchors symmetrical, you know, but it might not be possible to get, you know, this area here is probably, I mean, I could probably be here, but on this, on the outside, I'm really going to have to be about there to get my, you know, my seatbelt bolt through, which is a bit of a pain. I might drill these today, actually. I won't drill them out full size. I'll just put like a 1/4 inch hole or something through for now. I'll have to look up the correct hole sizes and all that kind of stuff, but I guess I just got to make a decision as to where and how. Like if I do put my other anchor about there, it's kind of the flattest area. It does tip that way, and that way I just have to put a curve, you know, slight radius on my two doubler plates, which is a bit of a nuisance when you do that. Like I had to do it here, and it's a lot of farting around to get, because you got your sheet metal thickness inside there as well, and then of course the rivet holes don't want to line up anymore. So good times, but we'll figure it out. So I'm pretty much think I've got the things in the right spots, so I might mark out the other side, drill some holes, and then I can get this shit out the way and carry on with my sound deadening. That's what this video is about, not seatbelts. That's a whole nother video and a whole nother exciting adventure. But I haven't got seatbelts yet. I've got to buy some. Undecided yet as to whether to do coloured ones or just do black ones. I kind of was thinking of, like, you know, nice chrome lift catches, or do you just go with the generic ones, because the price difference is significant, but the chrome ones look so much better for seatbelts, and they're safe. You know, they've got to be safe. That's the most important thing. But yeah, so that's where we're at, you know, doing car stuff. On the upside of that being down here, my console comes down through here and mounts onto that, comes to about here, so that'll be well clear of my seatbelt doohickey to come up next to the seat, hopefully. I know it was a bit snug. Yeah, so okay, stop procrastinating and just get on with it. Okay, got my marks on this side, just put a little circle around them, and I've been doing a little bit of measuring and stuff just to make sure we're on point. So we've got our same center line on both sides, centering between these and then centering and then measuring off. What do we got? We've got 210 from there to there and then 250 from there to there. Keeps us in our bracket. We're at the outer side of our rectangle on that one, but we're in the middle of the rectangle on this one. And just did a couple of reference checks, so I'm measuring from there, say that back wall there down to my mark, we're looking at 105 millimeters. On this side here we're looking at, we're actually a little bit closer on that one, that's about 95, so about 10 mil out there. I might try and find somewhere to measure off that I didn't make. 95 to there, 100 to there. Alright. So if we go, just change that one to 100. And then we'll just double check this one. So we'll go from the back wall to our mark, and we should be 965. To there. I was a little bit out there too. I don't know how. So that. Oh, that's a 240 from there to there. Yeah, I don't know how I did that. So I'll just check that one. 240. Yep. So we're on point now. It's there. Get a centre punch, drill some holes, and draw some rectangles around them so I know where to leave space for my Dynamac or that stuff when we get to that. I'm going to go and have a coffee. One, two, three, four. Okay, so that was a really bad impersonation, you know, from Sesame Street back in the day. Just need some, add some thunder and lightning effects to that. Alright, so just marking some rough marks to stay away from there with my sound deadening. This one's going to be a pain when I come to do the doubler plates, but it is what it is. At least I'll be able to get underneath there. Okay, so I got 3 full sheets of Dynamac left from doing the truck, and you know, as this is a proven product, I want to kind of use this in this area where I get the most, you know, firewall and footwell heat sort of thing. As we go further down the car, the heat should hopefully kind of dissipate a little bit. So I'm just trying to decide now how to best utilize it, like, because I can do pretty much a full sheet up into around there. You know, if we end up with kind of funny little gaps here and there, not a big deal. If I go hard up against the tunnel and go as far up as I can, we end up with a bit more of a gap here. Or do I kind of like start it here and then come back in with the old Shogun? brand. So I mean, if I can take this up to here, and then, you know, as we're coming up the firewall, I can bring the Shogun brand stuff back into the fray up higher, where in theory it should be a little cooler, and use some of my offcuts and stuff like that to kind of fill in. And with my third sheet, you know, we'll be looking at maybe doing this upper part of the tunnel and just under the heater and stuff like that, you know. Tunnel won't get as hot as these areas. I did notice when I was driving this the other day, we had a bit of heat, not excessive, coming through down here. So yeah, I was thinking of maybe sort of starting at this line here and just going up to wherever it goes to, and, you know, trim that corner off, and yeah, doing it like that. And then on the other side we'll have the accelerator pedal bracket and the dip switch kind of in the way. I'll take the dip switch off. Obviously the accelerator pedal bracket, I'll just have to trim around it and go from there. Got the Allen key, I guess. Get those up out of the way. You know, work out where we've got to trim this bit. So if I'm going, I wonder if I should just make it even. Go to there, go to that line, and then I just have to cut that corner off of there. Yeah, I'll do that. Could have cut it straight though, jeez. Hey guys, so just about out of Dynamat, and that's as far as I've got. So I've got, you know, my main toe board and floor pan on both sides done, and the front part of the trans tunnel and up just under the heater. I've got one little bit left. I was trying to decide whether to just wrap that over the end of the trans tunnel or whether to use it on one side, but then it'll look weird if I have one black side there and then one blue side there, or one black side there and one blue side there, with, you know, that stuff. So not that you're gonna see it, but, you know, in the interim it'll just look a bit weird. So I think I will, I've answered my own question, and I think I'll just wrap this last bit over the top there, and then that's all the Dynamat all gone, and we can sort of start seeing how much more I can get done with the other two products I've got. I still got the goldy coloured stuff, but don't want to put that anywhere where it gets any heat. That might be, you know, okay on the inside of the doors, you know, not probably not in there, but maybe just a couple of strips here and there on the doors, maybe to soak up some resonance, I guess. I know some folk, actually a guy was commenting last week or something, I think last week on a video, talking about, I think he's over in Aussie doing a 50 Fleetline, is that right, mate? I think it's a 50, and he was talking about sound deadening inside the doors and stuff, and I have seen people do that before. I don't know whether, like, I'm just a bit worried. I didn't really prep them up for that, so if they were a nicer kind of finish in there, sounds weird, painting the inside of the doors real nice, Dynamat would probably stick. This shit sticks like shit to a blanket, so it sticks to everything, whereas I probably wouldn't use one of the cheaper ones. Oh, this blue stuff sticks pretty good to the nice surfaces, you know, shiny surfaces, and hopefully it's going to stay on the roof. You know, but yeah, the Dynamat is definitely tackier and stickier
as soon as it touches this paint here, it just like grabs it and don't want to let go. So yeah, anyway, that's your update. So I'm going to carry on, stick this last piece on, and then yeah, figure out what I'm going to do next. Okay, so I was going to try and put a pick through the other side of that what do you call it, riv nut, but to find my hole, but I don't think that's going to work. I was hoping to just be able to see it through this deadening stuff once I rolled it down, but can't find it. Where are you? I don't know where it is. All I can do is kind of put that there and kind of guess that it's maybe there somewhere. Oh, hang on. There we go. Is that it? Yeah, there we go. Found it. Right, so I need my screw. And I did go and find a washer for this, but I've already lost it, so I have to go and find another washer. Okay, so managed to get that one on a little bit crooked across the bottom, but that's okay. I tried to peel it back up, it wasn't happening, so crooked it will be. Right, I just got to do some bits up in here. It's a little bit kind of tricky and hard to kind of film anything, so I'll just get that done and update yous when I'm done, I guess, and then figure out what we're going to do in here. Now, with the carpet that I got with this car, it has got some underfelt with it. Don't know how much, I haven't actually unraveled it, and so that you know, will help keep, you know, road noise and stuff like that down as well, with that underfelt under the carpet. It's that thick grey buffy stuff, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, so that'll all the other crap that I've sprayed on this has helped take some of that drummy out of the old out of the floors and that already. I just got to decide how much coverage I want to do in the back here. I'm probably not going to like try to cover it all. Same with as much as this anyway. I want to cover that bit of firewall up there. Down the back here, I'm probably just going to do the main sort of areas, not worry too much about the drop-offs, and I might do across the tunnel if I've got enough, and I might just do like, you know, a square in here just to take especially down here, take some of the drumminess out of that part of the floor. You know, I don't think it really needs full coverage, but it'll definitely yeah, absorb some of that racket that you make when you're driving down the road and doing that stuff. Yeah? You ready? Are you ready?
I am.
Hey, we're getting full ricer now. I've got Shogun Sound Deadener heat protection stuff, and it's just, I'm going to put neons under this thing. It's going to be dope, man. But yeah, I've got all that firewall stuff done pretty much, I think. Putting this blue shit in here is actually like makes it way easier to see what's going on. Once you've got it up under the dash, you can see stuff. Like it reflects light and that, like, so I think if I'm ever going to do a full car build and that again, I'm not going to blast everything black. I'm going to paint it all white so I can see what I'm doing when I get up here, like up under the dash, because when you got everything like smoked in black, it's impossible to actually see what you're doing. And like putting that up there, now I can see heaps of other stuff, all my wiring and that. When I'm laying on my back looking up there, it just seems to reflect all that light. It's way better. Oh, I've got to put that switch back before I forget. Goes back on there. My screws. Yeah, so it's quite significant how much it reflects light up
up under the dash and just makes it actually easier to see what I'm doing up under there. So if that's an argument to use a coloured sort of sound deadener stuff, then that's an argument to use a coloured sound deadener stuff. So as you can see, I haven't gone mental like making it super perfect and things like that. As you know, it's driver quality, and it is gonna have carpet and kick panels and stuff and that in there anyway. I know some folk, when they do this sort of thing, go totally OCD, full on, and they have all the Dynamacs all facing the right way and they make it so it joins, but they use a ton of product getting there. So up in here I've got like about 10 little pieces filling in the little gap there. It doesn't really bother me. Little gaps like that. I do have this tape, so I might run it over some of the stuff up the front here just to tape the joins, but even then I don't know how necessary that is. Some of my joins are actually overlapping. I don't know whether that's the right way or the wrong way to do this sort of thing. Like I've got a kind of bit of a gap here, so I might get some heat coming up through there, you never know. But yeah, so that's the, from there forward, pretty much done ski. Now I need to stop procrastinating and formulate my plan for down the back. Might start with a couple of decent pieces in the floor here while I've still got decent pieces, and then we can kind of work out the rest of it from there, sort of thing, you know. Okay, so there wasn't as much left on the roll as I thought there was. That's it folded in half, so basically I could get 2 pieces on there. Yeah. That's a bummer. I thought there was more on there, but it was quite a big roll. Yeah, that's the cardboard tube that it was in. That's all my rubbish. So I could put that there, and yeah, I could maybe order some more. I do have this other stuff here, but I don't know whether I've showed it to you, but this is, you know, I did show it before. So that's got that kind of white. It's more just a sound deadener. It has foil backed, but it might be alright sort of under the back seat and stuff, but it's going to add on another colour to the rainbow, you know. Not that it matters, it's going to get covered up. So this I could use this goldy stuff. Do these 2 bits under the seat, do this stuff under the back seat, and maybe some of this under the driver's and the passengers' front seats. But yeah, that being said, do I pull this over to the edge and then run some of this yellow stuff over the tunnel and be done with it and hope that it can handle it? It's thinner. Yeah, this is like only 1mm stuff, whereas this is 2.2. So this might be better kind of in the boot or something like that, you know. You know what I'm saying? I might have to get these on and then call it a day and have to order some more, but I don't know how I'm gonna arrange that, because I'm going away for a couple of days during the week, going up to Auckland for a Metallica concert, and then next weekend I'm gotta like be boosting down about 600k that way, and then turning around and boosting straight back again. I'm gonna go and pick up my son from Wellington and bring him back for the summer, and so yeah, there'll be no work done on the car next weekend, that's for sure. So yeah, I might just stick these on, and because if I order any more, I'm just thinking about couriers arriving while I'm away. If I get it sent to work there, or if I get it sent here, will it get here in time? They say they dispatched on the same day, but this last lot, that took a week to arrive. So yeah, so maybe if I order it late next week, it'll be arriving, I don't know, some other time, like the week after. So I don't know, just the logistics of trying to figure this shit out sometimes is hard on the whole brain box. But if I order another box of this Shogun stuff, I'm gonna have tons of it. That'll be just scrap, and I could do the boot and even do some stuff like the inner guards and maybe some stuff on the doors and that as well, just to kind of use it up and hope that it's good. Anyway, I'll stick these on. I'm gonna have to cut a piece out for my doubler plate. So just gotta mark where my doubler plate is. There. My fingernail. Take a little bit out for that one. I should say mark where my doubler plate's gonna go, not where it is. So it's not there yet. Okay, so that's as far as I can go on that now. I'm not going to put that yellow stuff on. It's too janky feeling. This Shogun stuff feels way more like Dynamite. It's different, but it's close. And the way it performs and, you know, like to apply is very similar to Dynamite. Dynamite's probably just a touch stickier, you know, like tackier to install. So hopefully this Shogun stuff stays on the roof. This Shogun stuff, I mean, that roll was about 13 or 14 kg on its own, and then you add maybe about 5 kg of Dynamite. So I mean, we've added about 20 kg of weight to the car just with what we've done today. But yeah, pretty happy with the result. Like, that has deadened up the roof no end. I'd be curious to sort of see what it, you know, sort of sounds like kind of driving now, I guess. Can't do that, still up in the air. There was a reason why I was leaving it up in the air, but I can't quite recall what it is at the moment. Like up on the axle stands. Spitting. Sorry fellas, but yeah, there was something. Oh, there was to get the seat out was one thing, but there was something else and I can't remember what it is. I'll remember. But yeah, I might just shut the boot for now. I might hook the battery up. I just want to have a listen to the compressors and see what they sound like, you know, now, whether it's at this point a noticeable difference. You know, I'm just chucking the battery on. So we'll come back around here. It made a whole lot of difference. Got a new rattle that whenever I touch that panel it stops. So yeah, don't know what that's about, but once the seat goes in, you know, at the moment we've got that massive cavity up the back there. The compressors are sitting just under that, so of course the sound's going to carry through that, and through, you know, the inner fenders and stuff. It's all kind of quite open, the back half of this car, so I don't really know how to combat that without figuring out a way to kind of fill things in, or whether it's just gonna have to be one of those things. Have compressors making compressor noises in the back. You know what they do, that sort of thing. Once we get the seats and upholstery and headliner, and you know, a parcel tray goes in there, that, I mean, the headliner is gonna kind of go like that, so it's not gonna close up that gap that much, if you know what I mean. It's still got to have a lot of audio comes through there. It might just be, is what it is. Compressors are pretty short-lived pain. It's more like driving noises and shit like that I kind of, you know, would like to kind of bring the racket down a little bit, you know what I mean, and hopefully make it a bit better. Well, that's where I'm going to leave this one. Pretty happy with that, especially, you know, it's taken all of that drum out of the roof as I've just been yabbering on about it. You can tell I'm a little bit excited about it. But yeah, run out of product, so I can't go any further today. And yeah, as I said earlier, with my logistics of going away twice in the next week, as far as ordering in some more, I can't really kind of get straight back into it and do the rest. So I'll have to probably just order it when I'm back and back properly. And I know it can be delivered when someone's around, or at work when someone's around, that sort of stuff. Yeah, so if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, like, share, comment. Let us know if you've used that Shogun product before. It seems all right. It's just, again, it's another Chinese product, but much different to that goldy yellow stuff. It's definitely a butyl based product. Seems pretty good, seems to stick pretty good. Hopefully it sticks to the roof. The surface of the roof was not quite as nice as to stick to as the surface on the floor and stuff, you know, and parcel tray. But yeah, as always, thanks heaps for watching, and don't forget that we're on the Instagram and the Facebook and places like that, and dmackustoms.com for your merch. And also don't forget there is the Christmas 10% Christmas discount up until the second week of December. I'm not sure what week this video come out. It's probably maybe the first week of December. Do some shopping. I'm going to cut the discount off, because if you want stuff like for Christmas gifts and things like that, it's going to be probably at least a couple of weeks. So if you want to get your orders received before Christmas, you really want to get them in like soon, if not now, and get them ordered so they can be printed, shipped out to you, and hopefully get to you before the 25th of December. So that's why I'll cut the discount off, to discourage us from spending on Christmas shopping the week before Christmas. That makes sense. Sound dodgy? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so as always, thanks heaps for watching, and until next time, take it easy and peace. Ooh, I really need to get another video done.